Hello everyone, this is Dr. Achal and I welcome you all again in our subject module titled as Services Marketing. So, in previous discussion we have dealt with one of the component of the 7P, that is regarding the promotional efforts. How does a service organization has to choose a particular mode of promotional effort for the purpose of catering out to the needs and the wants of the target audience, and what are the important strategies that the service organization and the provider has to look into for before choosing a particular mode of promotional channel. Now, in today's deliberation we will be discussing the same concept within another form, and that is what is being talked of as what are the important things and what are the promotional strategies or the efforts which the service provider has to look into for. So, managing the promotional efforts is one of the important topic, it is one of the important concept that has to be understood by us, and in today's deliberation we will be dealing with that aspect, that is how the service organization will be trying to manage its promotional efforts in terms of the different kind of techniques and the tools that they are having regarding informing, persuading and creating awareness amongst the target audience. Earlier also we have said that the promotion is one of the important technique, and firstly before connecting out with your target audience, we as a service provider, we have to just ensure that it is the duty of every organization to just connect and to just build a good relationship with the internal employees who are working in their establishment. So, we have discussed the same thing, that is how to effectively communicate within the departmental head, within your own organizational structure, which is being composed of the different hierarchies of the levels of the organization, levels of the management. We are having the top level, we are having the middle and the operative conditions. So, how to just effectively communicate, developing a interpersonal skill and interpersonal relations amongst the different levels of the management that is being seen in each and every organization. Because imperatively we as an organization, we cannot isolatedly work in a isolated way, we have to adopt a coordinated and an integrated approach. So, here for the purpose of effectively channelizing the promotional efforts, we do have to ensure that this particular aspect of maintaining a good credible image and maintaining a good relationship amongst the employees is one of the important factor that has to be taken into consideration by the service provider, that is managing the internal communication. Similarly, we have also understood the concept of how to manage out the external communication, or how to build up a relationship with the external stakeholders who are there operative in the marketing environment, who are there very much being interested enough towards knowing out your functionality. And these external stakeholders may be in any of the form. We can experience the customers over whom we are targeting out our efforts, over whom we are evolving all our efforts to towards catering out to their needs and aspirations. It is the competitors also who are helping us many a times, because they are generating healthy competition, and definitely they are also having an inclination to know your strategies and the procedural plans that you are trying to frame upon. Similarly, the stakeholders may be in the form of the government agencies, and these government agencies, the regulatory bodies who are operating in your environment, they also has to be satiated, because we have to sometimes we have to gain out of favorable conditions out of that particular aspect. And it is the public relations, the medias, the media people should also be, they also should also be given a due importance, because it is the public media who are trying to float out our information in a good way. And if our good content, if our offerings are having a good content, and our image is being built up in a good and in a very diligent kind of way, definitely that will help us in building in a good rapport and loyalty for the customer's point of view, and not only for the customer's point of view, for the society at large. So, in this deliberation we will be dealing with how to manage out the promotional efforts. And moving on to the slide says that it's all about the management of the promotion, how to just manage. And it's being said that the promotional management is optimizing the utilization of the tools, strategies and the resources to promote a product that will generate additional demand. To achieve this, you identify your potential customers, decide your promotion budget and select your product to promote. Now, management, it is somewhat the word management is being used and is being associated with the tool and the technique of the promotion. Whenever we are using out the word management, definitely it means that we as a manager working in any of the functional area, working as a marketing manager and a finance manager, we have to just ensure that the availability of the resources which we are having at our disposal, they are being put into the alternative uses and they are scarce in nature. So that particular condition, that is the scarcity of the resources being committed, which is there which is there available with us, and that is being put into the alternative use. These two factors are very much being prominent enough, and here for every organization, the managers working in any of the functional area, they have to just foresee that their proper utilization of these scarce resources should be done in a judicious and in a very rational way. So promotional effort and the management of the promotional effort is also one of the important ingredient out of the 7 P's which is being deployed in the services marketing arena. And here also we are seeing the same fact, that is, what are the tools and the techniques that we are trying to deploy that should be in consonance with the nature of the offerings that you are trying to dispose, should be in alignment with the customer's expectations, aspirations, should be in many times it should be in alignment with the availability of the resources that you are trying to dispose of in the market area regarding the 6 M's: men, machine, material, money, method, market, and your budget constraints should also be looked into for, because it is in a financial aspect which plays a very pivotal role, and until unless we are having a sufficient and adequate amount of capital, adequate amount of finances or the funds to incur or to just use for any kind of technique, for any kind of a strategy, especially we are talking of with regard to the promotional strategy, which in turn demands a huge amount of funds and the finances to invest in for. So here the manager working the capacity of the marketing manager, they have to just pursue out in a coordinated and a cooperative approach with the finance manager, because it is the finance manager who are having an adequate knowledge regarding the commitment of the resources in terms of the funds that they are trying to generate from different kind of sources. And we know that even if the sources are being tapped on, we as a manager, we have to just foresee that these sources of or the funds that is being generated from the different sources, there should be a certain kind of parameter, there should be a certain kind of justification to utilize it for. How to allocate those important garnered funds from the different sources, how to just allocate amongst the different rates. That is also a very important and a sensitive issue to look in for. So the promotional venue or the promotional outlays, the expenditures that is being incurred in the promotional form, their rationality, their justification has to be proved upon. How you are allocating your budget towards advertisement expenses, how you as a manager are trying to formulate out your strategies in terms of making out an effective advertisement copy, the layout, the design that you are trying to formulate upon should also be taken into consideration, because we know that for the purpose of making out an effective advertisement copy, it in turn demands out a huge commitment of the resources. How to design out an effective communication copy, advertisement copy, in terms of its size, in terms of its color combination, regarding the contents that you are trying to deliver upon, regarding its contrasting features, the unique kind of coming out within a, like suppose if you are just using out the print media, you have to just foresee that what are the color combinations that you are trying to go in for, how with the picture quality of the paper that you will be trying to use, what are the contents that you are trying to deliver. Similarly, if you are going in for the deployment of the broadcast media, whether you will be going in for the video mode, whether you will be going in for the unique combination of the audio and the video mode, which is very much being persuasive enough to motivate the target audience to move in for the purchase decision. It may so happen that you are incorporating a jingling sound, which is a unique and a distinct strategy to persuade and remind out the target audience to go in for the purchase decision, and which is very much being attractive enough. So it means that even if you are choosing any of the promotional media, any of the tool, you have to just justify its allocation of the budget, you have to justify its allocation of the expenditure that you are trying to target upon towards its formulation, and then only you will be justified to be proving out your rationality in terms of using out your availability, using out your available commitment of the funds that you are holding on. So here the slide says that the utilization of the tools, strategies and the resources to promote a product that will generate an additional demand. Definitely all our efforts of using out a good promotional appeal is to generate good and an adequate demand. We don't have to only inform and persuade and convince out our target audience. Apart from it, the main objective of any promotional effort is to generate the adequate demand. The demand should be there, because our effort is to reap out the surplus gains. The effort of any marketer acting as acting in the capacity of the production manager, managing the production of the physical commodities, or even if you are just trying to render out the pure services, in both these instances we are in a situation in which we are making out an effort to reap out the surplus gains. So this particular factor has to be taken into consideration, wherein we have to just foresee that the promotional expenditures that we are trying to incur in the different kind of tools and the strategies that we are trying to deploy should be worthy enough, and they should be having the capability to generate out an excess demand, and adequate demand should also be there. Then only we will be achieving out a condition of the break-even analysis, and after achieving out the condition, the situation of the break-even analysis wherein we are reaping no profit and no gains, when the production is being enhanced after achieving the point of the break-even analysis, we as a marketer will be in a position to reap out the surplus gain, because here there is a condition where we will be showing that the demand condition is adequate enough and we are generating out an adequate demand. And the supply is also being it is also being enhanced, keeping into consideration the adequacy of the demand that is being imposed by the competitive conditions, and we as a marketer, we are definitely being in a position to satiate out our supply with regard to the demand that the customers are trying to dispose of in the market area. So this is the thing, that is we are saying that the promotional objective of the promotional tool is not only to inform and persuade out the target audience, but definitely we have to just foresee that there should be a generation of the adequate demand regarding the offerings that you are trying to propose. Similarly, it says that for achieving this, you have to identify your potential customers, deciding out the promotional budget and selecting your product to promote. Earlier also we have said the same fact that before moving in for the promotional aspect, we have to determine out our corporate objectives, and within the mission of within the parameters of the vision and the mission, we are defining out our corporate objectives of our organizational structure. Now these corporate objectives are somewhat objectives that are strategic in nature, that are very much being crucial in nature, and we as a marketer, we are just trying to foresee that our different kind of subsidiary objectives that we are trying to define, they are in consonance with the different kind of the different departmental objectives, the different functional areas, the subsidiary objectives which are being derived in the different functional areas or departmental head, they should be in consonance with our corporate objectives. So that is the point that is here, that is being written here in the slide, that you as a marketer, you have to determine out your corporate objectives, you have to identify your target audience, and then after determining the corporate objectives, the identification of the target audience has to be made. That is a very important aspect, because until unless we are knowing out the aspirations and the expectations and the psychographic features of our chosen target segment, will not be able to adapt our or modify our offerings so as to suit out their purposes. So that factor should be taken into mind. And just as we have said that we are having about limited resources at our disposal, so that limited availability of the financial factors or the funds that we are having at our disposal and that is being put into alternative use, their rationality has to be proven upon, and that rationality and its judicious use and the application will be proven if you have made out in a budget. The budget is very much being important, because it gives you a clear-cut understanding regarding how to allocate, how to garner up the funds from the different sources, from the different venues, and this garnering of the fund from the different venues, in turn it employs different factors to be taken into consideration, because either we can have sources of garnering the funds with the help of the equity way, we can go in for the debt financing also. So for any organization, if we are taking that factor into consideration, that is the garnering of the funds of the finances from both the aspect, we have to just ensure that there should be a proper leverage ratio, there should be a proper blend of the debt and the equity. Then only will be in a suitable financial position, our solvency position will be sound enough to repay all the debts that we have generated from the different areas. So this formulation of the budget is an important aspect to be taken into account, because budgeting is such a process which gives you a bird's eye view to earmark the different kind of sources from whom the finances will be generated upon, and how to allocate these important sources towards the different heads, towards the different expenditures, and to prove out our rationality. Similarly, if the budget is being made, definitely there should be a certain kind of control mechanism to foresee and to look into for that whether the proper utilization is being done or not in any kind of functional area. It's not only with case of the promotional budget, but if we are making out any kind of budget regarding the finance budget or cash budget or any kind of other sales budget is also being formulated. So that particular kind of aspect should be taken into account by the functional area, the head of the functional area, that is here the marketing manager has to take into account that their promotional aspect, there should be a certain kind of like a yardstick and a control mechanism to just monitor out that the proper uses of the fund is being made or not, because the same thing, the commitment of the resources are very much been limited in nature, and they are being put in the alternative use. So their justification and the rationality has to be proven upon. Similarly, this yardstick and the parameter is necessary enough to also take into account that where are the deviations that are going on in your organization, whether the uses and the proper application is being done, and whether its efficacy, the application part that is being made, whether they are being capable enough to generate the factors that generate the proper performance that you are expecting towards the incurrence of that particular towards the incurrence of that particular expenditure. So it means that you have to measure out the performance of the things, the performance of the policies, the procedural plans, and then only you will be able to measure out the efficacy and the effectiveness of the planned procedural plans that you have made in the earlier course of action, and whether that planned procedural policies and the drafting of the strategies that you have made, whether you as a marketer you are able to achieve the goals and the objectives that you have set at the very first juncture. So that should be taken into account. So promotional budgets very much being important enough here. You as a marketer, you have to just foresee that the projects should be made, and there should be a mechanism at the last that is able enough to give you enough feedback, to review, to monitor your aspects, your activities, the strategies, the procedures, and the review mechanism should also be there, because that review mechanism will be helping us out to measure out the deviations and the pitfalls that are happening in our course of action, and how to just revise out our budgets. The budgeting, revision of the budgeting is also being done. How to just make out certain kind of modification in the planned budget, how to go in for the restructuring also at certain point of time. So this review mechanism should also be there in your promotional budget. Then only you will be able to come out with the things and the strategies that are very much being distinct enough from the strategy of the competitors. And yes, of course, at the last, the selection of the product over whom you are targeting out your efforts. That is, what are the core important benefits and the utilities that you as a marketer are trying to dispose of in the market area for satiating the needs and the wants of your target audience. That is the core benefits and the core utilities of your offerings should be justified enough. It should be analyzed at the very first juncture. So determination of the corporate objectives, the formulation of the budgeting plans, promotional plans, that is the promotional budgets, and then the nature of the target audience, and then expectations of the target audience, the nature of your core offerings that you are trying to dispose of in the market area. So this is an imagining of the promotion efforts. Moving on to the next slide. Now here it says that retail companies, whether e-commerce, brick and mortar, or both, care about the inventory. Too much stock means unnecessary expenses, and too little translates into lost sales. As the market gets increasingly competitive, no company is willing to stay a step behind its competitors. Now the retail companies, here retail companies, we are seeing that the retail companies, whether e-commerce, brick and mortar, or both, they care about the inventory. Both too much stock means unnecessary expenses, and too little translates into the little lost sales. And as the market gets increasingly competitive, no company is willing to stay a step behind its competitors. Definitely, either if you are transacting out our business through the help of brick and mortar store, there can be certain kind of situation in which we are experiencing nowadays that many a times the transactions are taking place with the help of the digital mode. So if the service providers are taking the use of the I mean, brick and mortar store, they are setting up their own departmental store. There is a supermarket area. There is an establishment which is more tangibilized in nature in terms of the infrastructural facilities. So, in both the instances, that is taking the help of the brick and mortar aspect, or if you are transacting outdoor offerings to the help of the virtual mode. In both the situations, we as a marketer, we have to ensure that there should be a sufficient procurement of the inputs with the help of which the proper deliverance, the creation, the proper deliverance of the offerings can be made. Now, here in terms of the services, we know that as the services are intangible, they are perishable, variable and inconsistent. Even then, we have to get hold of the adequate amount and the procurement of the adequate inputs, serving as a raw material, serving as an ingredient for us to create and to produce a proper disposition of the services should be there with the marketer, should be there with the service provider. Then only they will be able to create a proper deliverance and the proper assimilation of the things that you are trying to generate. I suppose for the purpose of like suppose you are in a running out a library. Now for the purpose of running a library, there should be a proper stock of the books and the different kind of journals and the magazines. Then only the people and the target audience, the students and the academic fraternity will be able enough to visit out to your library, and they will be trying to garner and they will be trying to explore out the different kind of information that they want to get into. Similarly, if you are running out in a restaurant, there should be a proper adequate meals in terms of the physical component. Similarly, the decor, the ambience, the cleanliness, the proper waiting, the proper attitude of the cleaning staff, the proper attitude, the welcoming attitude of the attendants should also be there, which is assimilating and enhancing the proper the core aspect of the consumption of the meals in the restaurant. So, we are saying that either for the purpose of creation, the proper deliverance of the offerings, the inputs and the ingredients that you are trying to procure should be of adequate in nature. That should not be there should not be overstocking, there should not be understocking at any point of time, because overstocking of the ingredients or the components that is being needed enough will automatically result into the blockage of the capital. Similarly, if we as a service provider, we are not having an adequate amount of the components or the ingredients for proper deliverance, will be not be able to justify with the meeting out the expectations and the aspirations of the target audience. So, both these situations has to be avoided, and there should be a proper balance towards taking this aspect, that is the aspect of meeting out the adequate demand that is being offered by the target audience. And we know that as the market is competitively, it is gaining out the competitive aspect, it is competitively, it is changing in nature, evolving with the passage of time. So, each and every marketer, each and every service provider, they have to just foresee that taking into account this competitive scenario, they have to be abreast with the competitors at certain point of time. The drafting of the strategies, the creation of the procedural plans should be in consonance with the competitors' strategy. You have to contract out the strategy with the competitors. So, this is also one of the aspects that is being seen towards managing the promotional aspects of the service organization. Moving on to the next slide. Now, this slide says that the role of the employees in service marketing, what is the role of the employees that is to be understood. Earlier also we have said that here the focus is on the service employees, because they are the service, these are the people who are rendering the services, they are the organization in the company in the customer's eye, they are the marketers. In many cases the contact employee is the service, there is nothing else, the offering is the employee. Thus, investment in the employee to improve the service parallels making a direct investment in the improvement of a manufactured product. Now, the role of the employees in the service marketing, many times we have said that the role of the employees, that is the people who are crafting and delivering out the services to the end customers or to the end users, it is very much being important enough. The people who are working in your establishment as in a frontline staff, there are certain kind of people who are working at the back stage. Both the manpower, both the people who are being deployed in your organization, they are holding a very crucial aspect, because they are in direct touch. They are high-end products which requires a high touch with the end consumers. So these kind of people who are acting as a front life staff, they have to be motivated, they have to persuaded, their motivation factor should be good enough. Firstly, they have to be satiated, and this is what is the concept of the internal marketing. Internal marketing only speaks of the fact that here we as a marketer, we have to satiate out the hidden needs and the wants of the employees who are working in an establishment. Then only they will be working wholeheartedly, and their resultant output and their effort will be translated into in the terms of the generation of the good sales turnover. So this means that is here the focus is being given to the service employee, because at many point of time it is being seen on the part of the customers that the customers themselves, they are treating that it is the employees themselves who are the essential ingredient of the service, or they are the people who are being treated as in a service only. Like in the airlines industry, the attitude of the cabin crew members plays a very important role. Similarly, if you are visiting to to a hotel or to a restaurant, the caring attitude, the welcoming attitude of the attendants who are offering you the meals and the consumption of the meals, even if it's in a physical part, but their ambience and the decor and the welcoming attitude, the way they are behaving out, the behavioral aspect plays a very important role, and they are accentuating out the consumption of the physical component. Similarly, the deliverance of the lecture by a teacher, by a faculty member in the classroom, this is a pure kind of service that is being seen enough. So here the teacher fraternity or the teachers or the faculty members who are delivering out a certain kind of deliberation, this particular aspect, that is the involvement of the teachers and academic fraternity, they are being treated as the services that is being looked into by the target audience, that is the students. So there are certain instances in which we are seeing that here the service organization has to just foresee that the involvement of the people who are acting as a frontline staff in terms of the deliverance of the pure services is very much being important enough, and they have to motivate it and properly they have to satiate it enough by giving them proper pay and packages, by giving them proper fringe benefits. Their appreciation part, many times not apart from the monetary benefits, they have to be rewarded enough with the help of certain kind of appreciation letters. Certain rewards and recognitions should also be given to them, so that they are being motivated enough, and wholehearted cooperation is being done by them. And if they are satiated, definitely the organizational image and their goodwill will be enhanced. We are also saying that the investment that is being done towards making them feel at ease, towards giving them a greater push factor in terms of the motivation factor, in terms of giving them a proper persuasion factor, towards giving them a proper orientation in terms of the training and the mechanism, they are all the expenses and the expenditures which are not unnecessary in nature, they are not futile in nature, they are the expenditures which are being termed as an investment factor for any organization, because we know that these kind of expenditures that is being incurred towards giving them proper orientation and training to the manpower that are being deployed in your service organization, they will be acting towards enhancing the image and the credibility of your organization only, because in many instances we are treating that the employees themselves are being treated as in parity with the offering of the services that the organization is trying to offer in the market area. So this is an investment factor, should be taken into account. Now moving to the next slide, it says that the service employees, they are the they are the service employees, and here at certain point of time the customers are taking out the employees, are treating the employees as in a product itself. The marketers, the employee satisfaction, the customer satisfaction are linked. The quality service is highly dependent on the recruiting, training and retaining employees who can deliver and will be delivering excellent service. Definitely this slide also speaks of the same fact. Earlier also we have discussed that the proper recruitment, the proper training, the proper retention of the employees is very important enough for each and every organization, because especially in case of the service organization, because here the services are, as they are intangible, they are perishable and invariable. There should be a certain kind of quality check, there should be a certain kind of parameter to check out the quality at certain point of time, because the services itself, they demand for a preemptive quality check. So this particular quality check is also being needed enough, and our organization should be having an orientation to deal with these kind of aspects before recruiting, before selecting a proper manpower in your establishment. their channelization in terms of their psychographic features, their motivation factor perception, their personality, their attitude should also be chalked about at the very first juncture, and then thereafter they are being deployed, proper orientation should be given to them intermittently, so that their cooperation and the coordination mechanism can be seen. And preemptive quality checks should also be there in your organization, that definitely will be acting as a parameter towards checking out intermittently that how the employees are working in your establishment, whether they are being able enough to deliver out the things that you are trying to dispose of to the target audience, or whether there is any kind of gap, or there is any kind of pitfalls and the shortfalls that is being seen in terms of their procedural way, in terms of their procedural implementation, that has to be taken into account. So, this is all about in today's discussion, that is how the company or the service organization will be trying to manage their promotional effort in terms of choosing out a particular mode, and in terms of how they are motivating and pursuing out their employees to create and deliver out the effective delivery process. So, I hope that you people have understood the management of the promotional efforts. We will be dealing out with a further concept in our next discourse. So, till then, stay safe and stay blessed. Thank you all for joining.